Paulwell, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you too. Good afternoon.
The Energy Minister has said this is a sign of an opposition that's uncaring, that's not concerned about the restoration in the shortest possible time. So let's try to understand a couple of things. First of all, is it that the opposition is opposed to this $150 million loan?
We're not opposed to a loan that will assist with the restoration of electricity. What we are deeply concerned about, because the minister mentioned that the JPS needs $350 million. And if the government is, on behalf of the people, going to provide 150, then where is the balance to come from if we're going to have the restoration for these constituencies by the end of February? And that's a straightforward question that should have been answered. And along with other things that the minister failed to answer yesterday, such as what interest rate, the provision that allows for the loan to be converted to equity, what is the basis of the calculation of the value of the asset. So many things that were missing yesterday, and in his usual gusto, he overlooked some of those details, and we are calling upon the government to account.
Hold that thought for me, Mr. Paulwell. Asking you for 5 more minutes if you could after 6 o'clock. Have to go to the news now with Adrian. We'll soon come.
Opposition spokesperson on energy, Phillip Paulwell, speaking there. Opposition spokesperson energy speaking there. As soon as he comes back, we will rejoin them. He's speaking with Dan Jackson Miller. As soon as he comes back, we will join him. Do not go anywhere. Please stand by as we rejoin opposition spokesperson on energy. Take a quick commercial break here.
Within our first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to fix the date for general elections in Jamaica. So no government will be able to come and make false promises and hide the truth and tell you half-truths and trick you into voting for them. And then when them win, them throw on poison for you.
100 days to fix election date. Still I wait for the promise to fulfill. One broken promise after another. Laughable, as we say. None of your promise not fulfill yet, boss. So there you are.
Within the first 100 days of our government, we will start the legislative process to institute impeachment proceedings in Parliament. This will add another layer of protection of the Parliament to ensure that only members of unquestioned integrity sit in the Parliament.
All ministers under the new Jamaica Labour Party government will be given a job letter. That job letter has a timeline of 2 years and 6 months with key performance targets which are agreed upon by the cabinet, focused on 2 things: economic growth and job creation.
Andrew, you need to do what you said from 2016. You say you're going to put it on paper. Say anything you put on paper, the MP have to work with it. So you need to do it now. I feel like say when you do that, the MP will do them work and we will see work done in the community.
Within the first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to introduce term limits on the office of Prime Minister.
Andrew Holness, John, him break him promise and nothing him say I'm going to do for the next 100 days and now him not do nothing. Him not keep no promise and him say I'm the promise keeper. What a promise, John Star.
At a convenient time within our new government, we will hold a grand referendum on the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice, as the final appellate court.
You make so much promise for us. Look how long you're in there. Nothing done. All for the COVID, they promised the people them $25,000. Nothing done. Huh? So what you expect me to do? Tell yourself to sleep with the door and window open and nothing done.
We're standing by to rejoin a discussion beyond the headlines with Deon Jackson Miller and opposition spokesperson on energy, Phillip Paulwell, as we stand by to rejoin them about Jamaica's energy sector and an uproar in the parliament between Darrell Vaz and the minister and the opposition leader. We're getting some insight on this. As soon as the conversation begins, we will rejoin them. So please stand by. Please stand by.
Sun a shine, but things not bright. Do a pot a boil, bickle not enough. River flood and rain a fall. Rain a fall, but dirty tough. Nowadays the time so hard, when you ask Maddie how them do, them afraid you take it, tell them back so them no answer you. No care how much we da work for hard times, still in our shot. We da fight, our time a beat we. They might raise we wages, but £1 gone and pound we pay and we no feel no merriment. For £10 gone and pound we food and £10 pound we rent. Saltfish gone up, mackerel gone up, beef and pork gone up same way. And when rice and butter ready, them just go up a holiday. Cloth, boot, pin and needle gone up. Ice bread taxes, water rate, kerosene, oil, gasoline gone up. And the pound devaluate. The price of bread gone up so high that we have to agree to cut we hype and bread and all turn dumpling refugee. And all them Marga's Maddy, whether go on like fatty sin, all them they whether fast with me, I left them to dumpling. Sun a shine and pot a boil, but things not bright. Bickle not enough. River flood, rain a fall, but water scarce and dirty tough.
It's the Muppet Show!
Is operational. And with some 150
I've had to work for anything that I've had. I have said it before and I will say it again. I don't know what a gold spoon looks like. It has never been in my mouth.
So, Comrade Golden, when I hear Andrew, I say him never born with gold spoon in my mouth.
Just pull this up. The brim. Down. Alright. Ready? Folks, listen. Don't make too much noise, huh? Which one?
Orange.
Yeah. Alright. Folks, listen. I haven't been trained, but the gentleman decided that he want to make me just take a short spin. No long drive. But just to give you an idea of how well the bus is performing. And also give you a sense of what it's like to ride inside of this bus as a driver. So just stay with me. We're now getting in an accident because the man the right is next to me. So we just go around the corner and come back in. And we're in an area where it's underpopulated. It's out in the out in the country. So we don't have a whole lot of traffic. So here we go. Alright, ready, sir? What, this? Pull up?
Down.
Down.
Yeah,
Ready?
Put it down and hold it.
Like that?
Yeah, hold it down and, yeah, alright, good now. Good.
Ready now?
Yeah.
Yes, here we go, people. Ratigan at the wheel. Alright. Let me look around us up, Papa.
Good.
We're clear?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright. See that? Alright. Yes, people. We don't want to lift on our furniture, outdoor furniture, anything like that. But I want to do a thing. Indicator. Alright. Here we go.
What's that what there? Something white. Something white. Yeah.
People, that's it. This bus is available not for 80,000 US dollars, but for free. We're looking for somebody in Jamaica who wants a school bus to use either as a mobile clinic, a library, a food truck, whatever. Bus is available, and we're going to get more like this. And we hope that the government will give us the same extend the same courtesies that they extend to Minister Vaz, and they won't charge us to bring these buses into the country because they're for a good and noble purpose. So when you see me tonight on the program, when you see me again Saturday night on the program, we'll play the video so you can see me and drive the bus and we can talk more about it. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Just pull this up. The brakes. Down. Alright. You ready? Folks, listen. Don't make too much noise, huh? Now which one?
Orange.
That one,
Yeah.
Alright. Folks, listen. I haven't been trained, but the gentleman decided that he want to make me just take a short spin.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Remember our WhatsApp line 876-553-5908. Couple of your comments. First of all, Madison says, can you please do a segment on doctors, interns in particular, how they are coping mentally, their work, their time, their shift, long hours without sleep. How are they actually doing? Who is checking up on them? The health minister. Well, I'm sure the health minister isn't checking up on interns, but it is. I know a little bit about that, Madison, so I know the difficulties. So thank you so much for that. I will put it on the schedule. Main Highgate says, why is the government lending JPS money while people are suffering? Well, the concern me is that the JPS needs to restore power because the people are suffering and want back their light. And the government's saying this is a way of them trying to help the JPS to get the light back on track as soon as possible. And Barb says, I didn't watch or listen to the press conference, but the Parish Development Committee, Minister McKenzie referred to, is not the Parish Disaster Committee, two different bodies. As a former mayor, you should have known the difference, says Barb. Another listener says, last Thursday up to last week Thursday, I spoke to relatives in Lennox, Big Woods, and Darliston. They hadn't seen any packages apart from what relatives brought. I don't know if anything has changed since I'm having a challenge getting there, says Joyce. Another listener says, help me to understand how the PM going into all areas, not going into all areas makes it bad. How does that change the disaster and suffering? That's Mitchell. It's a long, can't read all of that. Mitchell, I never said anything about the PM going into all areas. Again, I choose my words very, very carefully. Look at any disaster, you always see the head of government. They go to the worst affected areas. They go to an area, the epicenter of an earthquake. They go to whichever are the worst affected areas. And I'm saying categorically, PM did not go to the worst affected areas, which were the areas that were hit by the hurricane until that 2-week period when he went with the Caribbean prime ministers. You're saying, how does it matter? No, man, you sound like a bright money based on what I say in your text. Sit down and you think about it. All right, let's continue. We're hoping to get the energy minister in a little while to explain my listeners who are asking what the government's plan is and why it's talking about this $150 million loan. The opposition spokesman, Phillip Paulwell, has been saying that the opposition's concern is if the JPS needs $350 and the government is lending $150, where's the other $200 going to come from? Yes, Mr. Paulwell. So is it that the opposition has a preferred route that they think should be taken in relation to this matter?
Well, we don't have a preferred route as such. I really thought what the government would have done, having put JPS in a position where it cannot secure loans, is to provide a sovereign guarantee rather than taking the cash from the consolidated fund at this time.
Guarantee the whole $350 million?
Well, we want to ensure that electricity is fully restored. And if it is going to cost $350 billion, then the money should be found. Now, where do you pull that money from? And I believe that the JPS would have been in a position, if the government offered a sovereign guarantee, to go out there and raise the money on its own. Now, we have a situation where the government has provided $150 million, and I can bet you my last dollar that the JPS is going to come back to the government and say, we need a further $200 million. And in fact, what the government will be forced to do is to find all of that cash when there are other things that you need to spend on to get Jamaica back up and running. So yes, we're very concerned. We're very concerned that it lacks transparency. And the Minister of Finance, who really ought to be dealing with this matter, did not say a word in Parliament yesterday.
All right, I'm gonna leave it there. We appreciate your time, Mr. Paulwell. Thank you so much. We're gonna be talking to the Energy Minister, so let's talk to him and put some of those issues to him. Let me just remind you of our WhatsApp line. It's 876-553-5908, 876-553-5908. Give us your first name, give us your general location. And the listener says electricity has been restored to Ryan Park Village in St. James, except Canela and Bilberry Avenues. Okay, so I was going to say, big up yourself. You all must be absolutely over the moon. I'm so sorry for those of you in Canela and Bilberry who must be sitting in your houses and looking at your neighbors with light and saying, what we do. Not true. I'm so sorry. All right, so this is our WhatsApp line, 876-553-5908, 876-553-5908. Neil in Kingston says, where drones used to locate the maroon communities and provide relief goods, drones could also act as a town crier when outfitted with a speaker, providing valuable information. And, one of the things I was hearing from a resident that we'll hear from a little later is, in fact, they're concerned. They said they feel like they don't know what's happening. They feel like they're not getting information, because we're here, those of us who are not in the badly affected parishes, basically living our regular lives, you know what I mean? So we're listening radio, we're listening TV, we're up on the internet, and we're getting our usual flow of information. Imagine if you're not in that kind of situation. One of the residents I spoke to say, you have to pay $1,000 at a certain store for charge your phone. So it's like everything you do is coming with that kind of with that kind of additional burden. All right, let me see. So Again, as a reminder, 876-553-5908, 876-553-5908. Okay, so the Energy Minister, Daryl Valls, is with us now. Mr. Valls, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good evening to you and your listeners.
All right, so I just had a listener ask, so I'm going to start from the very beginning, because a listener was just asking, why would the government be lending JPS money? So explain for my listeners, will you?
Okay, so it's important that we just step back so that everybody can have a full understanding as to exactly how and where we are. So the current license expires in 2027. This is a license that has been going from 2001, renewed in 2016, and then expires in 2027. As a part of the license condition, the government of Jamaica has to indicate to JPS what their position is 2 years before the expiry of the license, which should have been July 2025. In June 2025, I wrote to the JPS to indicate that I would not be prepared to renew the license on the current conditions and that a new license will be issued in 2027. And therefore, the government was prepared to buy the assets, which is a conditionality of the JPS in 2027. A team has been put together to start that negotiation. Consultants have been hired, and then Melissa came. When Melissa came, the JPS started out with an estimate of between 480 and 600 million US dollars of damage. That reduced to 350 as of now, as the more detailed estimates are done. Problem that JPS has is that they only have 2 years on their license. So they would not be able to go on the capital market or the multilaterals and get money with 2 years left. Let me just state that if the government had not responded by July 2025, the license would have given them, or the terms of the license would have given them an automatic 10-year extension on the existing terms. So that means we'd have gone into the situation till 2037 without any changes. So the government took the position, they had to respond, and we responded accordingly. So we are now at Melissa. The problem is that JPS wanted a 15-year extension to be able to raise capital, and the multilaterals who were prepared to assist them with emergency financing wanted a minimum of 8 to 10 years, which the government had already indicated that we were not prepared to give an extension without a negotiation of a new license. So the government was faced with the fact that JPS indicated that full restoration would not be possible until end of April to end of May in the major affected areas. And the government said that that was unacceptable. So we set out to find a solution that would give us earlier restoration and not put us in a position where we have to give an extension of the existing license. There was no time for a negotiation for any amendments of the current license because that would take time. So that was also not an option because it would be a rush situation, which is never a good situation. So we took the decision that we wanted to separate the two issues. The extension of the license, which we said is absolutely not on. And because of that, we would then find a way to bring earlier restoration, which is January, end of January, early February. That was what I indicated would be acceptable and asked them to tell me what would be the requirements to do that. They have 170 linesmen now that they imported with equipment, materials, everything. And they have been doing wonders. But they would need 300 additional linesmen and equipment. And they would need to get them here by the second week of December in order to make those deadlines and also to make sure that we could make an impact for Christmas, especially in those majorly affected areas, the townships, etc. At $75 million per month for 2 months, that's how the $150 million came about. The Minister of Finance and myself, Minister of Finance, the Financial Secretary, my Permanent Secretary, met with the Chairman, the CFO, and the President of JPS. On Monday morning, after several other meetings and other positions that were put forward, and we came up with this as the best case scenario for restoration and for keeping the government commitment to Jamaica that we were going to negotiate a new license for 2027. So those two things have been achieved. So what is important is that the government is at no risk. The taxpayers are at no risk because the loan is for 5 years, but the license is for 2 years. Therefore, between now and 2 years, JPS will either have a new license or they'll have no license. If they have a new license, they'll be able to raise capital immediately. And secondly, if they have no license, the government is obligated to buy the assets of the JPS, which means our $150 million will come off at the top. And secondly, our fallback position is that we could convert that into preferential shares to allow for us to have an increased stake in JPS for when we go to the next person who would take up from JPS if that negotiation is not successful. So
Okay.
the big question out there is, what about the rest of the money?
The 200 million, right? If you're loaning 150 and their estimate is 350.
So it was 200 million that was the shortfall. Overnight, I was able to clarify that there is $50 million that they have applied for through the Emergency Development Fund, Disaster Fund, which is monitored by the OUR, Office of Utilities Regulation, and that is being processed. So we are down to 150 million. The question is, as the leader of the opposition is positing, do we wait for the other $150 million, which could take another 2 months, and do nothing, which would extend the April-May deadline to probably June or July? Or does a responsible, compassionate government lend the $150 million on the basis that they are going to get a restoration, all island, within the period of time that we have asked for it, and it is specific for that purpose? And the answer from my side, I can answer for the opposition side, is that we took the right decision simply because not only do people want and need light, but no country can recover and even start to get back to normalcy without the restoration of light across the country.
All right, couple of quick questions. And one, what I am not understanding though, even taking the total amount to be provided, 150 from the loan, 50 from the emergency disaster fund, leaving 150. But if JPS is saying the damage amounts to 350 million, then you are saying that the loan will enable JPS to provide the electricity restoration within the period we've asked for. But how that don't sound like that maps out to me. Because if they're still going to have 150 million worth of damage that's not funded, that's not covered.
So the bottom line is that, as I indicated in Parliament and this morning, the suspension of dividends have been in effect from July. of this year. The JPS and the shareholders, especially the shareholders, are companies of means. So although the figure of $150 million may sound extravagant or exorbitant for me and you, in the scheme of things for the company and its operations, I am confident that now that the government has stepped in and eased the burden of them having to raise $300 million, yes, that in parallel to what they are doing in terms of the restoration, which I'm hoping to have boots on the ground here by the second week of December, yes, I'm confident that between the government of Jamaica and the JPS shareholders, we will work out a way to make sure that the funding is fully covered. And as I said before, we were not prepared to go the full way.
Right, I did hear you. Let me jump in because we did hear you say that. Yeah, but you're repeating yourself, and when you're out of time.
No, I'm finishing to say that nothing is off the table if the JPS performs according to what we have agreed on.
That sounds like some backdoor decision was taken because the reality. Hold on, let me ask my question. Let me ask my question because the reality is that the JPS is still a business, and if a business does not have certainty in terms of their operations and their forward planning, there's absolutely no incentive on them to put any kind of money at risk to go into any kind of well, for want of a better word, inconvenience to the company when they think that if their license could expire in 2 years.
So the bottom line.
So was an assurance given to them that restore within a certain amount of time and will extend the license?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What was said to them is that if you perform according to what we have agreed on the first $150 million, then discussions can take place if there is a need. But there may not be a need. And what I'm saying to you is while they do what they are doing, we are providing them with the capital to restore the lights across Jamaica in 3 months earlier. And anybody who can question a decision like that for all different purposes, not for only the sufferation of the people, but the economy of the country, the earnings for JPS to get back customers to be able to pay bills, etc., etc. It's a win-win for everybody. So I don't want to go there. I want to just deal with the fact that we have taken a decision that won't compromise us with an extension of the existing license, which is a flawed license.
Why not a sovereign guarantee instead? Why not a sovereign guarantee instead?
The Ministry of Finance is who advised us on this at the highest level, and I have no reason to question them. This is the route that they have.
But they must have told you why, though. Why not a sovereign guarantee?
They told me nothing. They told me exactly.
And you didn't ask questions?
But I don't need to ask questions.
Really?
That's not my portfolio responsibility. Minister Williams is more than competent than the financial secretary.
And you don't even ask any question?
But all I want is to restore light, and if the Ministry of Finance is going to support me to do that, why am I questioning them?
Because you can have different routes to a particular aim, Minister, and there's nothing wrong with asking if this is the best route.
My dear, we are a collective government.
Dion.
And I respect.
Dion.
I respect.
Dion.
My counterpart and my colleagues, and I respect my cabinet decision, and therefore this is a cabinet decision. So even if I had another thought, it would mean nothing because it's the cabinet of the country that makes the final decision based on what we put to them.
Okay, hopefully at some point somebody can explain to us why, but we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time, and I hope that we will get the full support in the coming days and weeks to restore electricity to all of Jamaica.
You know, Minister, people can ask questions about government decisions without y'all branding them bad mind, you know, which is a common thing that is done. People can ask, is there another way to do it without the response being to jump up and down and say everybody bad mind, because I do agree with you.
The bad mind still going on, eh? I didn't mention that word. I didn't even remember.
Man, it ran all through your response.
All right. Have a good evening.
And the very same to you. Let's go to the break.
God bless.
You know, I heard this guy Blue G30T or Blue G3T asking what Paulwell talking about. He went on to say, we do not own JPS, so why taxpayers must loan $25 billion to JPS? Go and ask Minister Darrell Vaz that. Do not ask we that. We don't know that. See, Darrell Vaz refused to answer the question that Dan Jackson Miller is asking him. Something don't smell good with this deal and JPS and the minister. Something smells stink. Something smells real stink. And if we don't get answers to this, may God help us. Some deal with JPS and this so much $1 billion. Something smells stink. Anyway, I don't want to stay too long on this. Gotta run. But those who comes on like Blue, go and do your research. You hear nothing from the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance says nothing. She just keep her mouth shut in the Parliament yesterday. And I like how Dan Jackson Miller said to him that they must stop labeling people as bad mind. In any other modern democracy, Darrell Vaz wouldn't sit in that Parliament, but only in Jamaica. We, the people, must feel the blunt of it. Beryl came, JPS couldn't stand up to the damage of Beryl. Melissa came, JPS couldn't stand up to the damage of Melissa. I was to loan JPS money. Yet JPS have been ripping off the people of this country with this absorbed amount of electricity bill. And now they can't stand up to restore light to the people of Jamaica. And people are asking about this loan. This loan that the government is giving to JPS. But the government can't give the people houses who don't have any house. Anyway, gotta run. Thank you all very much for coming on. At 7 o'clock, join Wilfred Rattigan with Come Reason Rattigan and his program. Until you hear my voice again, I'm Jeffrey Tavares saying so long. Have a good night, everybody.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk.